Hello, very good evening. And we are going to start this session. Okay. And in this particular session, we are going to cover the topics of auditing and insurance. And we are going to start with the very basics. Okay. So if my voice is audible to everyone, you can let me know. Okay. See, this particular concept is very, very useful in the exam of APFC. Okay. And also, these particular concepts are necessary to be understood if you want to perform really nice in the APFC exam. Okay. And in general terms, you should have these knowledges. Okay. So let's see. First, we are going to understand the concept of, okay, uh, auditing. What exactly is auditing? Okay. You have to understand. When a person says, okay, the term audit, you have to understand what is the meaning of it. This is an independent examination, okay, of financial financial information financial information of any entity. Now, what is the meaning of entity? You have to understand the meaning of entity is any particular company or any business which is performing in relation to the government and in relations to the people, okay, where people and government both are, okay, uh, directly or indirectly involved with this particular entity. Okay, like people as a shareholder, they are uh, in connection with the entity, government by giving a lot of uh, support. Okay. And similarly, lot of banks are also connected with these entities. So any kind of financial information, okay, it needs an independent examination, okay, to see whether everything is performing under the law or under the strict supervision of everything, okay, and whether there is no fraud involved. Okay, most of the time you people have heard about horse trading. Okay, horse trading, what is the meaning? If people have inside information, and because of that, they can perform much better in the uh, share market if they have insider information, and that is that. Okay, so that should not happen. Okay, and this particular independent examination, okay, it is not profit oriented, and it is irrespective of the size or legal form which any entity has. Okay, and this kind of examination is conducted just to express, okay, just to express an opinion. Okay, in our regard, in our uh, reference, this is how it is happening. Okay, so you have to understand this. Now, there are certain objectives related, okay, to auditing concept. Okay, and in this, first we are going to understand how exactly these objectives are related. Okay, see, first, suppose if there is one particular entity here. Now, two things I have told you: the government is, okay, connected with this, and so is people or individuals. Okay, now there should be, okay, a very clear cut idea for people that any entity, it has uh, their fundamental objectives, but it also has a list of social objectives related to it, and its social objectives define its boundary, okay, to protect the interest of people who are involved in it. Okay, like shareholders interest. Okay, shareholders interest, it is a social objective here. And taxes, whether the company is paying its taxes, or like there is no evasion of taxes, so it is related to the government. Okay. And people who have, okay, invested in the company, so there should be a clear cut understanding whether there is a safeguard for the capital, okay, which people have invested. And there is one particular thing whereby we have to understand the social objective also includes a fair return on investors. Okay, their work or their involvement should be fairly understood by the company. Okay. And if there are workers, whether they are getting the fair compensation or not. Okay, fair compensation. Okay, so shareholders interest, evasion of taxes, fair compensation of workers. Okay. And similarly, uh, a lot of social responsibilities are there in the corporate as well. So whether they have the policies which are complying with those special agendas, that is also a social objective there. Okay. So these are social objectives, and beyond this, and in this particular social objectives, both governments and both people's interests are included. Okay, so this is this. Now we are going to talk about the primary and secondary objective of a particular audit, okay, or auditing in general. Okay, let's see. See, first we are going to understand the primary, okay, objective. What is the primary objective of auditing? Okay, so you have to understand key an audit provides a true and fair view. Okay, it provides a true and fair opinion or view. Okay. And it considers all the financial, okay, performances by the company or a business during a particular time period. Okay, suppose during a year how that company performed. Okay, what does it have on its balance sheet? Okay. And balance sheet, if you will see, uh, it has all the financial positions on a particular date. Okay. And there are profit and loss accounts, so it is going to consider every evidence which it has at its disposal. Okay. For auditing. So to provide or to present a financial statement in front of people, okay, which is a fair, a true and fair review or view of a company's financial performance during a time period, that is their primary objective. Now, what is the secondary objective? The secondary objective is that secondary objective is that that particular auditor who is responsible for auditing, okay, he is also responsible for detecting frauds, okay, frauds and errors, if there is any, okay, in the books of accounts and financial records. Okay, all the books and financial records which are going to be presented to the auditor, he is supposed to be uh, responsible to find out if there is any fraud and error inside of it. Okay. And such detection of frauds and errors, okay, of the client's business or a particular audit, okay, it is called the secondary objective of the audit, because the primary responsibility, okay, here the primary responsibility for safeguarding the business assets rests with the management, and auditor has to know if there is any particular involvement of fraud in there. Okay. So in auditing terms, we are going to talk about a lot of technical terms, okay, which I'll share with you uh, in some time. Okay. So these are particular objectives of a particular audit. Okay. Now, overall objectives, suppose there is an independent auditor, because according to the audits, there are two types of audits. Okay. One is statutory audit and second is non-statutory audit. Okay. And when we are going to dive deep into these concepts, I'm going to state everything to you, how exactly this particular thing is done. Okay. So suppose uh, an auditor, okay, he conducts an audit of all the financial statements which are presented to him. Now, what a particular auditor is going to do? What are his overall objectives regarding that? Okay, he has to, okay, have a reasonable assurance. Okay, he has to know if any books or statement which are presented in front of him, okay, there is a particular assurance within him that this is okay and this is sound, and there is no uh, like uh, you will see none is missing. Okay, no financial statement is missing. It is his responsibility. Okay, no one can other than him can find out that. So this is up to him that he obtains reasonable assurance, okay, about all the financial statements. And if there is any, okay, misinformation presented to him by any uh, part of the entity, okay, he should be telling the people uh, in his report. Okay, so all the auditor's findings are going to be presented in a report. Okay, so these are his overall objectives while he is performing an audit. Okay, now we are going to learn about what are the limitations of auditing. Okay, so let's see what are the limitations of auditing. Limitations of auditing. Okay, see what are the limitations of auditing. First is that the audit evidence which is available to the auditor should be persuasive. Okay, evidence in front of him, okay, it should be persuasive, not conclusive but persuasive. Okay, and certain levels of management, they have a position to like override everything, so that is a inherent limitation. But an auditor should have a very independent view about it. Okay, so how an auditor is performing it matters the most. Okay, so this is one of the limitations here. And then there is uh, professional skepticism. Okay, whereby, okay, it means that if something is wrong which is detected, the behavior of auditor, okay, that should help in identifying and evaluating the matters which are really important. So any kind of fraud and error, okay, it should be clearly mentioned. Okay, and third term which is related to this is materiality. Okay, materiality. Okay, what what is the meaning of the materiality? See, the word material in auditing, it is a very sound concept here. What is the meaning here? It means any particular activity here or materiality here is going to mean that anything which is important cost wise. Okay, something which is important cost wise, or it is important profit wise. Okay, or it is important effect wise. Okay, effect wise. Okay, and value wise. These things are considered material in terms of auditing, because these are capable of influencing the economic decision which any person is going to take in here. Okay, or particular user. So what is material in one circumstance? Here, suppose a cup of coffee, if you have drink it, okay, before it has a value, once the coffee is gone, there is no particular value. So what is material in one circumstance could be, okay, not material in another circumstance. So it is related to the circumstances. Okay, and here changes need to be done accordingly. by the auditor, because he's the one who is going to make the decision final related to these. Okay, so what is auditing? It is an independent examination. What are the objectives of auditing? Primary, it should be a true and fair review. Secondary, that auditor is responsible for finding out or detecting the frauds and errors. Okay, it also has a lot of social objectives here. Okay, and there are uh, limitations related to auditing. Okay, and these also become the limitations. Materiality is one of them. Okay, now everything here, okay, it depends on the auditor. So if auditor is like compromised, now everything is going to be really bad. So particular auditor needs to have certain qualities before performing an audit. Okay, so what kind of qualities we are talking about in a auditor? These are simple. He should have integrity. Okay, if he is not uh, like straightforward, honest, okay, he is not sincere in his work, okay, you cannot believe him. Okay, and if he is not maintaining impartiality and he has his own personal hidden agendas, then that is going to compromise the uh, worth of that audit, okay, or value of that audit. That audit cannot be a very successful one. Okay, so to be dependent on these, okay, you have to understand because a lot of government agencies, a lot of people, all the people are like when they are reading about this, they are dependent on the audit. Okay, they will scrutinize every point of the entity based on that particular audit. So if that auditor has not done his particular job really well, it is going to compromise everybody's work. Okay, so the qualities, he should have integrity. Okay, if integrity is not there, okay, honest work is going to be compromised. Okay, and he should have his independence. Okay, independence, it is really needed. Second, he should be able to keep things confidential. If he does not have the quality of confidentiality, okay, uh, it is going to be problematic, because he should not disclose, if he has any client information, he should not disclose this particular information to anybody. Okay, because that client permission is very much needed before he says anything about it. Okay, so this is very much important. And third thing, he should be great in planning. Okay, planning is very much needed. So the auditor should obtain the knowledge about client's business to determine the nature, timing, okay, and the extent up to which the audit is going to happen. Okay, it should be up to him. He cannot say like the audit is going to go randomly up to this time. Okay, he should be great in planning. Okay, so these are the things related to qualities of an auditor. Okay, now what can be presented as an audit evidence? Okay, next we are going to talk about audit evidence. Audit evidence. See, audited accounts are considered more reliable, okay, by a lot of government. I have just said कि अगर tax audit report है, it is filed, okay, by with the taxation authorities, it is going to be used by a lot of people. Okay, so audit evidence, it is going to facilitate, okay, detection of wastages and losses. Okay, and it is going to find out everything correct with the institute and wrong with the institute, okay, or entity. So these audited accounts, okay, they are going to be taken very seriously by the people. So evidence should be carefully, okay, uh, judged. Okay, so here audit evidence, okay, uh, is all the things, all the statements which are going to be provided by the entity to the auditor. Okay, and these will be presented to the banks or financial institutions or government uh, agencies which are going to require audited accounts. So these audited accounts, okay, needs to be audited on the proper audit evidence. Okay. Now, if once an audit is done, what is the advantage of audit? Okay. If you have any idea, you can let me know in comments. Okay. I'll see whether you're okay with this or not. Okay. What do you think the advantage of audit is? Okay. What is the advantage of audit? Okay. I have just told you a lot of things, and in that, I have told you about social limitations or social objectives as well. Okay. So, a lot of stakeholders are related to that particular entity. So, here, audit is just a tool. Okay. Without audit, okay, protect, you cannot protect the interest of people who are involved in this. Okay. So, if you want to understand whether this is a corrective measure. Audit is not a corrective measure. It is just a moral check, okay, on the account or a particular entity. Okay. So it is not going to uh, some like auditor's job is not to be a bloodhound. Okay. It has been given uh, very nicely. Okay. In a particular case whereby the court has told that auditor is like a watchdog and he is not going to be a bloodhound. Okay, so auditor's job is merely like a watchdog. He can tell them, okay, this is where this is wrong, but he is not uh, fundamentally there to take a corrective measure. Okay, so he's just a watchdog and not a bloodhound. You have to understand that. Okay, so based on that report, the employees of the organization they have to remain alert. Okay, they have to remain vigilant. Okay, of their interest in that particular entities. Okay, now we are going to understand what kind of audits are available. Okay, so we are going to understand about the types of audit. Okay, let's see. We are going to understand types of audit. Okay, see, there are two types of audit. One is known as statutory statutory audit. Okay, statutory audit meaning an audit which is mandatory. Okay, an audit which is mandatory under a law. Okay, a law to tells there should be a particular audit. Okay, so this is under a law. Okay, a law is there. And second one is non-statutory. That means it is most of the time voluntary. Okay, non-statutory, it could be voluntary, and the meaning is that no particular law is involved here. Okay, so it is based on the people's interest. If somebody wants, they can, okay, directly have a independent agency to do the audit here. Okay, so first we are going to understand what is statutory audit. You have to understand statutory audit. Okay, this is the mandatory thing under a law. Suppose there is a company audit. If there is any company, then that company is going to have a company audit. Okay, and it is under the section 139 of Companies Act 2030. Similarly, there is a tax audit. Okay, and tax audit, it happens under the section of 44AB. Okay, of Income Tax Act 1960. So these are mandatory audits. They have to happen. Okay, there is no other way around. Okay, and about non-statutory, I have just told you they are voluntary. Okay, now in case of company audit or tax audit, like statutory audits, the auditor which is involved, he should be independent. Okay, he should not have hidden agendas. Okay, he should be independent, and the rights and duties of the auditor, okay, they are going to be determined by the law under the uh, terms of law which is engaged there. Okay, so all the rights and duties are going to be defined by the law. Okay, so this is known as statutory audit. This is a mandatory one under the law. and second one is your non-statutory, which is voluntary in nature. So you can say it is not mandatory. Okay, it can happen or it cannot happen. It is just uh, it depends on the people's wish. Okay, so this is a not non-mandatory audit, and it can be done based on the people's whims and wishes. Okay, now in case of non-statutory, what kind of auditor is needed? Okay, he might be independent and he might not be independent. Okay, both things can happen. Okay, people can choose any type of auditor they want in non-statutory audits. Okay, so this is there. Now, if you want to understand the differentiation between the statutory and non-statutory audit, okay, let me give you brief understanding. What exactly is this? See, on one side, I'm going to take statutory, and second, this is non-statutory. Okay, so what I have just told you is statutory, it is mandatory. What it is mandatory, and it is voluntary, voluntary or not mandatory. This is the major difference. You have to have this in your mind. So whenever there is a question based on statutory and non-statutory audits, this is the main difference between these. Now, what is the basis? Okay, legal compulsion. Okay, if you want to check the legality, it is under a law. It is voluntary in nature. Okay, now what kind of auditor is needed? He should be independent here, but in this particular case, independent in this particular case, here no choice is given. He can be independent or he can be uh, like directly related to a particular organization. Okay, now power, rights, duties, it is given here by the law, and here it is just an agreement between the auditor and the firm. Okay, the person who is hiring and the client's decision, well, they are going to determine his power and duties. So this is kind of a major differentiation between the statutory and non-statutory audit. Okay, now we are going to move forward. What exactly is the scope of a particular audit which has just been performed or done? Okay, now we are going to know about the scope of an audit. What is this? Okay, see, particular audit should be organized to cover adequately all aspects of the enterprise relevant to the financial statements being audited. If there is an audit, it should understand everything about company's financial statements. Okay, whether it is balance sheet, whether it is profit and loss account, whether there is investment and how the capital is used, every single thing which is related to the finances, they are going to be okay audited in all the understanding he can have. Okay, second, while he is forming his opinion, okay, when the auditor is going to finally okay present a true and fair view or opinion, or he's forming his opinion, he should decide whether the relevant information is properly disclosed or not. Okay, relevant information is disclosed properly or not, and if something is missing, who should be the judge of that? That particular auditor is going to be the judge of that. Okay, or all the financial statement presented by the entity to him. Okay, and this should be subjected to the okay requirements given to him or under the powers given to him by the law. Okay, if it is mandatory one, then okay, so wherever applicable, while forming his opinion, he should be the one to decide whether the relevant information is properly disclosed about the financial statements or not. Okay, so this is about the scope of an audit. Okay, now what more is there? What more is there? You have to understand key a lot of times a lot of constraints are put. Okay, uh, on the audit. Like a lot of internal management, they don't want to disclose a lot of information. So these are kind of becomes the constraints, okay, on the scope of an audit. And because of this, what happens? The authenticity, the true nature of the opinion which he has to form, it doesn't happen. Okay. So constraints on the scope of the audit, what are going to be that? It is it inability to access a lot of evidence which he wants. Okay. Now, auditor is not expected to perform duties which fall outside the scope of his competence. Just like what I said to you before, he is there as a watchdog. Okay. And he cannot like become a bloodhound. What do I mean by bloodhound? Because he is not the one who is going to provide the justice. It is not his work. He is there to merely provide uh, a situation where he's going to tell the people, okay, this is wrong and this is right. Now people are going to be judge of that. Okay, he's performing an audit and he is not the one who is going to take any particular measure. Okay, so this you have to understand very nicely, because this particular thing, okay, uh, this was actually, okay, given by the courts. Okay, and there was a particular case. It was Cotton Mills Company case back in 1896. Okay, and that is where the judge said in the jury, okay, or in his decision, that auditor should be a watchdog and not a bloodhound. So from that particular perspective, I'm using this. Okay, now we are going to talk about auditors' engagement in a particular audit. Okay, I have told you about the objective and scope. Okay, when it is related to the law and when it is not related to the law. So you have to understand this. Okay. Now let's move forward. One second. Now we are going to learn about a particular point which is known as audit program. Audit program. See, an audit program is a written plan containing containing exact details exact details with regard to the conduct of a particular audit. Okay, so it is basically a description or memorandum of the work to be done during an audit. So if there is ever a question on audit program, what it is a written plan which is like all the details are right there about the conduct of a particular audit. Okay, every detail is uh, in this particular program. It is okay a description what exactly has to be done during the audit. Okay, so this is a audit program. Now, audit program, what uh, it functions as, okay, it basically serves as a guide. Okay, what is the purpose? The purpose is it is going to work as a guide. Okay, when the work or audit is going to be performed, okay, this audit program is going to provide them what is to be done, okay, and what is the possibility and what should not be done. Okay, so this is basically a guide. Now, an audit program can be classified in two categories. Okay, in two categories, an audit program has two categories. Now, one is program common to all types of audit, program common to all types of audits. And second is special programs, special program containing the work relating to a particular audit, relating to particular audit. Okay. Now, what are the examples here? You can take the example of checking of books of accounts. Okay. So this is the program common to all types of audits. And second one, special programs. You can take the example of like audit program of a partnership firm. Okay. And that partnership firm program or firm, it is going to be different. Okay. From one company to another. Okay. So now the audit program has some advantages and it has some disadvantages as well. Okay. Because it most of the time it functions or serves as a ready checklist of audit, what is to be done, what is not to be done. So it is basically a guide. Okay. And audit work here can be properly allocated to the assistant of uh, clerks, whoever is doing the work. Okay. And if you want to know what is the disadvantages, कि if you are like see कि मेरे पास बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, ठीक है, और मैंने बहुत सारा ऑडिट प्रोग्राम क्या है, छोटी सी चीज के लिए एक बहुत छोटा सा काम करना है और मैंने पूरी उसके लिए प्रॉपर प्लानिंग कर रखी है, लेकिन काम वो बहुत ही छोटा है. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट इज डूइंग ऑल अननेसेसरी थिंग्स. ओके. जस्ट टू डू a very little bit about a very small concern. Okay. If it is about a proper audit, it is good, but most of the time, even for a small concern, a lot of work is done. Okay. Now, in through audit program, okay, a lot of responsibilities they can be fixed, but if the staff is not there, then inefficiency will come. Okay. So program can have all the value, but if staff is not there, inefficiency might come there. Okay. So this is about auditing and insurance. I hope you learned about a little bit in this particular class, and we are going to move forward in the next class as well. Okay. And every day I'll be here for some time. Okay. And this is the first class about this, and other sections are left also. So I'm going to take classes for them as well. Okay. So take care. And in the next class, we are going to move from here. Okay. So I hope you understood a little bit of auditing and insurance. Okay. Today I just told you about audit, and in the next classes, we are going to move forward related to insurance as well. Okay. So take care. Have a nice day.